Hey there folks, Wrel here. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be answering questions from the audience. And by we, I say me and Camikaze78. If you'd like to say hello.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So Camikaze78, he, if you don't know him already, he already has a YouTube channel. He's been around for a while. He does content on all sorts of stuff related to PlanetSide too. And he's, yeah, so you can go check him out. But he pulled a couple of questions from his audience, questions that you guys offered up to him, and I've pulled a couple as well, and we're just going to discuss them and kind of go back and forth. So this first question, okay, so the first question we got is from Okami Ryu, and he says, "Hello, Wrel. I have a question to ask you. What are your favorite Vanu weapons? I mean this by what carbine or shotgun do you fancy?" And this is a question that I've been wanting to ask you for a long time. So here it is. P.S. Love your videos, man. Winky face. So he said, you know, favorite Vanu weapons, but I kind of want to open this up and give just a variety of each faction. So as far as VS goes, I love my starting carbine. The Solstice carbine, probably one of my favorite weapons in the entire game. For the medic, I actually really like the CME, especially since they upgraded the bullet velocity not too long ago. And yeah, those are some of my favorite weapons. And I also use the VX6 TAC7, which is another carbine. That's your fast-firing hip-fire carbine for VS. And aside from that, I mean, they're all, I play with the rest of them a good deal, but those are my favorites as far as VS goes. For NC, it'd probably be the Razor. Razor is amazing. It's very consistent. And also, I really like the EM1, which I know is, I did a review on it. You can watch that if you want. And also the Anchor, which is an LMG for the heavy assault. Let's see, for TR, the new links I'm starting to like. I'm starting to get into it. But Jaguar has always been amazing. Jaguar? How do you pronounce that, Kamikaze?
Jaguar, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, do you say
Jaguar?
Oh, I hear, whenever you hear like a British commercial or whatever, it's like Jaguar. it's got the U in there. I don't know. I say Jaguar. Okay, but it's
yeah.
The T5 AMC actually is probably my favorite. Again, it's a carbine, but it's for the Terran Republic. And aside from that, oh, I'm sorry. See, heavy assault, T7 mini chain gun, one of my favorite weapons in the entire game, hands down.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. T7's pretty sweet to use.
Yeah, what do you think as far as yours?
Being a new Conglomerate player since day one, and that's basically the character I've spent the most amount of time on, I've always been about heavy-hitting weapons, so one of my favorite weapons in the game has to be the almighty God Saw, and just because in the hands of an accurate user, that thing is an absolute beast in most ranges. I love it to bits. But very contradictory to that, I've always loved my GD7F. It was the first weapon, besides my breaker rocket pods, which I'm not proud to announce, I got my Raxium on.
Nice.
that I love that gun, just due to how different it is in comparison to the rest of the NC arsenal. For my Vanu Sovereignty, it has to be the Pulsar C for my Engineer and Light Assault, because, you know, they're, again, heavy-hitting, long-range, NC-related stuff, and as well as the Flare. I've always loved the Flare. Good gun, very accurate, hard-hitting.
Yeah,
just sort of
like
suits my playstyle, yeah. And as for TR, on my heavy assault, it would have to be, once again, the T7 chain gun, or the TMG50. I've always loved that gun, because, again, I love the accurate long-range weaponry, and when you can apply the damage accurately in close quarters, it really is a beast, really. And, I don't know about my light assault and engineer. Probably the I really like to use the HC1 Cougar. I love that gun as well, just because again it's very different from the rest of the arsenal and it provides a bit of a niche, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that was it was a very interesting weapon. I'm glad it's in the game now. And
oh, amen.
It changes things up, and I love it. I really do. I should have mentioned that. Yeah.
I'll say that the TR has always needed a heavier hitting carbine. They really have. And I've kind of left out the combat medic here, but my favorite assault rifle in the entirety of the game, just in the essence of time, has to be the Carnage AR. The Carnage AR is just amazing. It's a headshot machine if you add a compensator and an advanced forward grip onto it. I think it can have an advanced forward grip. I could be wrong there.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, and with the latest edition of the 2X optic, it is just, oh man, yeah, my dream weapon. It is amazing. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the next question? One of yours.
Okay, so a question from Bingles Gaming here. What do you think of the idea of looting enemy weapons in PlanetSide 2? They wouldn't be available in your loadout screen, and would only have the attachments that the original user had. Likewise, you couldn't use a weapon from a different class, no infiltrators with shotguns, and you could only pick up their currently equipped weapon. I found this a very interesting one because looting other factions' weapons, it really could change the flow of gameplay, I reckon, a lot. I don't know. I agree that it should be if there was to be looting of other weapons in the game, it should only be related to the same class. So I wouldn't. Again, I don't want to see infiltrators with pump action shotguns. That would be downright ridiculous. What are your thoughts on this, Wrel? I'm kind of interested.
That's it's kind of a strange question. I love this mechanic, and to a degree it was in there in PlanetSide 1. You can like take weapons and you can store them in your lockers, and there was an inventory system. But this is actually a mechanic that I want in my game, like my dream game. I want let's see, way back in early 2000s, late 1990s, there was a game called, it was a mod. It was a mod called The Specialists, and it was made in the vein of, it was a Counter-Strike mod. It was made in the vein of Matrix. Like everything was the Matrix. Everybody had flowing cloaks or trench coats, and they can like fly and slow down time, and fly through the air and just like run off walls and all sorts of things. And there was bullet time. And one of the mechanics in the game was that you can you can disarm your opponents, grab their weapons. If you dive toward where their weapon would have launched, and then use it on them. That to me is just like the most amazing thing ever. And I understand that PlanetSide 2 wouldn't work out that way. It doesn't really make sense. But the fact of using somebody else's advantage and turning it into your own, that concept in itself is something that I feel could be a lot of fun. Maybe wouldn't necessarily fit into PlanetSide 2 because we have very structured gameplay. But when you think about it, what would happen really if you were to give every class every weapon? What would happen? I mean, barring some example, actually most of it has to do with the infiltrator class. If you give infiltrator shotguns, yeah, it's a big deal. If you give heavy assaults sniper rifles, yeah, it's probably a big deal. But outside of that,
sniper rifles,
yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't think the gameplay or the game as a whole, as far as balance goes, would actually change that much. And I think, yeah, just temporary basically little buffs. I think that'd be fun. Lots of fun.
I'd have to agree. There have been times when I've been playing like a heavy assault and I wished, why couldn't I have this assault rifle? If I could have a Carnage on my assault rifle, that would be amazing. But the only major issue I would see with lootable weapons on the opposing side, bar the imbalances, would be the fact that we're so fine-tuned to listening at a certain weapon sounds, and if we hear a TR sound behind us, we're instantly going to think, oh crap, that guy's behind me, and he's certainly not friendly, because my new conglomerate Gauss sword does not make that sound.
Yeah,
so you
that's
turn
very
around
true.
and deal with it. That's the only issue I could ever see coming out with that feature, and it would somewhat create a lack of consistency in a way in the game.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's nothing it's nothing to scoff at. Some people might think that, I don't know, that the benefits outweigh the cost, but that's definitely something that would just utterly confuse people. Not even new players, but just veteran players, everybody. Yeah. And unless those weapons instantly turned into they sounded different when you picked them up and they fired the same color tracers, that would fix it. But it's, yeah, I don't know.
I think you'd have a three-way fight, even if it was two factions fighting each other, to be quite frank in that case.
Yeah. Well, that already happens.
Yeah, valid, very
Welcome
valid.
to the new conglomerate. I'm just kidding. It happens everywhere.
No, I'm gonna have to vouch for that statement. That is very, very true.
All right. So next question. Beware of. Do you say dog with an E at the end? I haven't how do you pronounce the meme? Is beware
Dodge.
of Doge? Okay, we're just gonna say doggy.
Dog.
Beware of doggy. So
Alright.
he says, Rel, will you forever play PlanetSide 2, or is there a new game that you're interested in, and will you record it for us? Are you actually getting bored of PlanetSide right now, and how are you handling it? Would you ever play a different game to take a break? And the answer to that, for me, is it really depends on if PlanetSide 2 holds up their side of the bargain. So I entered the YouTube channel. Actually, I started with Mass Effect 3, the multiplayer, and as I played through the game, I mean, I did a number of videos on it, and I really enjoyed it. But looking at the rest of the content, the game was already out for a while, and it didn't feel like there was a lot that I could contribute to the community. But then I looked at PlanetSide 2. I said, okay, there's a really long development cycle here, and there's a lot of options. You know, there's 3 factions, a lot of stuff I can explore, and so I saw the game as something that's very sustainable and had a need for commentators, for people to help and kind of bolster the community, and that's why I'm here. But if the developers say, all right, guys, we're done, game, you know, it is what it is, just take it and you can do whatever with it, I think I would have to leave, because there's not enough there for me to sustain the channel, and it would get to the point where I just wouldn't be able to help people anymore. And the purpose of PlanetSide 2 for me is not the game. I like doing content on like my thoughts on better gaming series. That's my big thing. That's my favorite thing. And I like using gaming as a catalyst for change. So it doesn't really matter what game I'm playing, as long as I'm able to convey the lessons and also help the community grow. Not just you know, within PlanetSide 2 itself, but also as a gaming community as a whole. And I know that sounds like kind of overarching and, you know, maybe even fake to certain people, but that's the point. And hopefully you get undertones of that within everything I do. And I don't even think I answered the question properly, but yeah, would you ever take or ever play a different game to take a break? I do play different games all the time. You just don't see it a lot on the channel. Sometimes, actually more lately, I've been streaming it. Like a couple days ago, we played Trove, and that was something. And and it's just, I don't know. So I do like to take a break to answer. There's 3 questions in this. Answer one of your questions. Yes, I am kind of getting bored of PlanetSide 2 right now, and I have been for a while. But it's actually starting to pick up a little bit more for me now that the game is in such a state where I feel it's solid, because content locking, outfit recruitment, which is still really buggy, and outfit base captures. I feel that those are huge elements that that are going to make the game more sustainable. And but yeah, so if PlanetSide 2 doesn't hold up their side of the bargain, then I will have to move somewhere else, and I probably won't look back, to be honest.
I would have to agree there, honestly, to answer the question, if would I ever move on from PlanetSide 2. If the development cycle like stops, or it never goes anywhere, or the game just becomes in such a bland state, then yes, I'll be moving on. If content producement, or if areas for content producement dries up, then yeah, I'll be forced to move on, of course. It's just it's the same cycle with any kind of game. Like Battlefield 3, you don't see any more you don't see much more videos being posted for that, because it's an oversaturated area of study, and there's not really much to look at anymore. To answer, do I ever take a break? Hell yeah, I do. I ever since, like, when I hit battle rank 100 on my main NC character, I decided that, alright, that's enough for me for now. I'm gonna have a small break here, cut some time off, and then I came back and, yeah, okay, Hossen's out, content locking's out, the game's in a good state. It's picking back up, of course, much like what Wrel said. And, yeah, it's just, I'll have to agree with you saying, when the game can't really get in a worse state from now, unless they decide that, you know, that we're only allowed to play on one continent at a time, or some absurd change like that. I don't think the game could get, it could go any negative from here. And will there be any other games coming to the channel? Probably, most certainly. More specifically, I'd love to see The Division. I'm probably going to be playing the hell out of that. I'm not sure about you,
man,
Wrel.
if that comes to PC, I will be right there with you.
I believe it was confirmed for PC, which is amazing.
Yeah, I'll jump all over that. We'll be best friends.
Squad up 24/7.
Yeah.
Rise to the top, take back New York, all that fun stuff. But yeah, the Division is certainly something I'm looking forward to, and I have been exploring other games on the channel, but they're more for fun. Like the PlanetSide is something where the PlanetSide game is where I really want to get in depth, get my teeth sunken into, and Battlefield and all that other stuff is just auxiliary and just for fun, really, more secondary stuff. But I hope that answers all three questions to some level of satisfaction. Bleh. If I could English, that'd be great.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's just, that's it's kind of, as a content producer, it's not the same as something that when people do Battlefield, there's a reason why so many people or so many commentators are in the Battlefield area, right? It's not just because there's a lot to talk about, but it's also because there's more to talk about every year, every couple of years when a new game comes out. So it's new and it's fresh and it's exciting and it draws in a bigger audience. But right now, Camikaze and myself have to work with a very constant and even dwindling player base, depending on how you want to look at it. And when PS4 rolls around, then it's going to be new people and there's going to be new excitement and that sort of thing. But we have to look at it as a way to, like, we want to be here for you, but we can only be here as long as you are here for us. Exactly.
So, and we can only be around as well as long as the developers are somewhat pushing us new things to explore, I guess is the way to put it.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yes, okay. So SammyCheese99 asks, why doesn't PlanetSide have an option to go prone? And this is something I've asked in a previous Sunday recap, but I feel as though it could be used for much deeper conversation, because at the time of writing that script for that Sunday recap, I was half asleep, I was over my keyboard, and it wasn't a fun time. But why doesn't PlanetSide... I reckon... like I addressed in the video, the main issue I have with prone in PlanetSide is infiltrators and cloak. Currently, infiltrators are hard enough to spot if they are crouched in cloak and in a corner, just in stalker. If they're sniping, they're hard to spot as well, and whilst the new death screen somewhat hints as to where they are, if they're prone and encloaked, and if they're blending into their environment, it just becomes an absolute nightmare to try and find them. And I really couldn't see that being the most beneficial implementation to the game, and I can see a lot of trolling aspects added to the game also. I could only imagine I don't know, a cloaked stalker infiltrator like lying himself down across a doorway so that people can't get through it or something like that. I could just imagine.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
You just stub your toe and kind of trip into the capture point.
And then you get knifed in the back by some random guy.
Yeah.
Who's just in prone. Oh. Alright, now that I think about that, that could be a beneficial implementation to the game just for that trolling purpose, but
oh, yeah.
I won't endorse trolling. That's a bad idea. What are your thoughts, Wrel?
Man, I was just thinking about, I actually want to have, I wanted to have like a group of stalkers, right? And just like sit there crouched in a doorway and make a fence. And then just when somebody like kind of like runs up to it, why can't I get past this point? Like we all uncloak and just knife the guy. And that would, I don't know, that would be amazing.
Better part, what I would like to see there is like he pulls out a flashlight just to see a whole lot of like red tinge in his face. He's just like, oh god, no.
Yeah, that'd be the best. I'd love it. As far as the question goes though, prone in PlanetSide 2 in the game's current state would not work for for exactly the reasons that Camikaze said. And not just infiltrators, but I see it like being exploitable in a lot of different ways, just because the terrain is not built in such a way that it would make sense. Like there's little gaps under the fence, so you can like under some of the fences, and you can like sit there and you'd be able to shoot at people's toes or whatever. And it's just the game is not quite structured that way. No. Even the crates, right? The crates are at a certain height to allow you to hip fire over them. Yeah. And it's just so there would need to be some redesigns. But I wouldn't say that it's not a cool mechanic. I think that I think that a huge holdup would be that it would slow the gameplay down a lot. Because there's already a huge focus on like sitting and camping, and because people are afraid of dying for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, so and with prone it'd just be worse. So there's that, and also when it comes to infiltrators, if you wanted to kind of expand on that, I think that there'd need to be accommodations, right? So if you allow prone, if you allow a cloaked sniper to sit up on a hill, then you need something that's able to spot them. So it'd be like thermal vision or a thermal scope, right? And one that would be able to see infiltrators. Actually, in the game Nuclear Dawn, there's a class. It's an assault class, and it has this visor. It brings down the visor, and you can't see a lot. Like it blurs kind of everything, except for it will make cloaked enemies very, very easy to see, like clear as day, like thermal.
Okay.
So there's an exchange there, and even if it was just to add like an option, like an attachment to your site, that would be cool.
I reckon that would be really cool. And I reckon this is why a game like Battlefield does prone really, really well. You see, their snipers, they can go prone, they can blend in with the environment, but they have a scope limit whenever they aim down sights. I reckon that is a nice balancing for a prone mechanic in a game like Battlefield, where it's open, it's a little bit more slow-paced in some cases, and it doesn't make snipers the win end game, essentially.
Yeah, like you could always see, I like that you can see laser sights. I like that you can see, the flashlights, the shine of it in Battlefield, and also the the scope. Like you see the sun reflect off the scope. Yeah. So it gives that is a great way to counterbalance it, and something in PlanetSide 2, like if it worked like that in PlanetSide 2, I think that it would change the game a lot. Maybe for the better, because everything becomes a choice then. Like, do I really want to sit here and look down the scope and possibly give away my position, or do I just want to, pop in, fire off a shot, and then kind of, I don't know, run away and reposition? So that's a really, really smart. I never like thought about that for Battlefield. But as far as like what do you think about sliding? Since we're on the topic of other movement mechanics.
Of what? Sorry.
Sliding?
Well, as you say that, it's interesting, because I was actually just thinking about like what about sliding or leaning mechanics, where you can lean over cover or lean off to the side of cover. That's what I was just thinking about, something like that. And I reckon it would work in PlanetSide. I reckon it would provide with a smoother form of gameplay, and I reckon the smoother the gameplay, the better. It will allow people to pull off these sick moves inside buildings, to get behind cover quickly, because in the current build of PlanetSide, if you happen to be caught out, there's not a hope in hell. If you're caught out like 10 meters from cover, there's not a hope in hell that you're going to be able to get to that cover if the shooter is accurate. Not a hope in hell.
Serpentine.
Yeah, well, there is that. But I reckon if you were to slide, if you had the ability to slide, it would allow for you to basically have a second chance in fighting this guy off. And then with the addition of leaning, for example, you could lean over the cover, it would reward smarter gameplay, for example. It would reward players who position themselves well, who can take advantage of the leaning and the sliding mechanics, and it wouldn't just reward whoever fired first, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I've actually never been a fan of leaning mechanics, just because I think it overcomplicates the gameplay a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But the sliding I would like. I think that worked really well in actually in a couple of games, but the most recent one is Call of Duty Black Ops. I'm sorry, no, that's not it. It's Call of Duty Ghosts. And it's just, being able to slide, into cover, like it's putting you at a crouch height for a short distance to travel. And that's something that could be really, really powerful in PlanetSide 2, because we don't use crouch a lot in general.
No, we don't. No, I'll agree with that one.
Yeah, so we try to keep this, movement is what keeps you alive in PlanetSide 2. And adding that sort of like more tactical style of movement would be, if you'd slide and then maybe there was a movement penalty afterwards, just like jumping or something like that. That way you wouldn't like necessarily want to spam it, while you're, or like use it when you're shotgunning someone, or whatever. So there should be trade-offs, but yeah.
I was gonna say, when you mention sliding, like you're against sliding, are you against it on the receiving point of view or the giving point of view? Like, if you're the one who's
leaning?
trying, leaning,
it's a lot of it comes from. I'm against it on both sides, and a lot of it comes from what do you call it? Latency. So
Very
like,
fair
if
enough.
I peek
Yeah.
out, fire, and then peek back in, I don't offer a huge target to my enemies, which is actually it's a bad thing in that it's client-side hit detection. So I could pop out, fire off a shot, and then pop back in, and you have very, very little time to respond. So, and you have to be like deadly accurate because you're only revealing your shoulder and your scope and your head, and that's it. So I think it would definitely overcomplicate things from that end, and also just from the user's end, like when should you lean? Should it be manual? Should it be automatic? If it's going to be automatic, then hopefully you make the mechanics work right so that it does what you want it to. And I think it's just, there's a lot there.
I was going to say, yeah, as upon you mentioning the client side, I instantly thought, that's pretty much right. It would be somewhat game-breaking to the flow of the game.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, people, that's why there's a lot of people asking for doors. That's the reason why doors don't exist. if you open a door on your screen and then you shoot the guy who's on the other side of it, like, they won't see the door open for like, half a second or a little bit, later. So there's reasons.
Yeah, and knowing the time to kill of PlanetSide, half a second's all you need.
Exactly. But that's it for this episode. Nice. It's like 26 minutes long or something.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay. But thanks for hanging out, Kamikaze. You have any last words?
Not really. It was just good fun. I enjoyed chatting and certainly getting a few of your guys' questions out of the way and having a good long think about them. It was good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I will link Kamikaze's channel in the video description, and you should see some fun gameplay in the background. I'm probably dying at this point, but yeah, hopefully we'll do this again. I want to make it a sort of a weekly thing with Kamikaze and all the other commentators who happen to be around and be a great part of the PlanetSide 2 community. That said, if this video has been interesting, helpful, or entertaining, please feel free to like, subscribe, tell your friends about my channel or Kamikaze's channel, and yeah, leave a comment. Comments are fun. Thanks very much, folks. Wrel signing off.